Alright, we got NBA myths we all believe were true. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you like the video. Let's get it.
Thing more exhilarating than being a kid at an NBA game behind the basket distracting the other team from making free throws is being a grown man behind the basket distracting the other team from making
Big
free
ass
throws.
stomach,
Sit
bro.
in this section at any basketball game, and there is no end to the effort home teams and their fans will make to try to get the opposing team to miss a few shots at the charity stripe. Fans with signs, fans dousing themselves in paint and insane outfits. Those dreadfully loud thunder sticks they hand out before the game. Mascots themselves getting in on the action. The only problem is fans attempting to distract free throw shooters at the line doesn't work. Like, at all. Over the years, researchers have done numerous studies into this topic.
I never thought about that too.
Free throw shooters
I don't think it works, bro. I think people just suck. That's why they're missing them. Nothing more than that.
Shooting of teams playing at home versus away, a negligible difference was found in free throw percentage. Over the last 25 seasons, home teams have shot just 0.2% better from the line compared to visiting teams, suggesting that efforts made by fans of the home team have no effect on performance. And even the 0.2% discrepancy was due to other factors. Years ago, sports
probably anxiety. You know, when they get nervous, like a game shot winner, a free throw win that can win you the game, stuff like that.
It does not. Despite the effort, fans attempting to distract opposing players at the line virtually doesn't affect their performance at all. However, there is a different way fans can dramatically affect free throw shooting throughout NBA games, and that is by not going to the games. After years of attempting to create controlled environments for these studies, researchers were given the perfect sample on the effects of fan interaction and player performance due to COVID and social distancing back in 2020 and
they played better though.
Where the NBA
they played
had
better.
A season and a half of games featuring
everybody was in their prime, basically,
after
bro.
gathering the data, researchers found that free throw percentage jumped up by 3 to 4% without fans in attendance across the NBA, from about 76% to 79%, a percentage that fell back down to the long-standing league.
And people say the bubble was not serious. Come on, bro. Only casuals say that shit. We all knew they were playing seriously in the bubble, bro.
Fans in attendance affected home teams equally as
Jimmy Butler going to the finals tell you everything you need to know, bro. He played his ass off.
Effect on free throw shooting was the circumstance of the game, how close the score was, how late in the game the shots were taken, and how important the free throws were. So, although there isn't much you can do as an individual to affect the outcome of free throws, if no one is in attendance and there is absolutely nothing at stake, your team might just hit those free throws. But this is just one of many misconceptions NBA fans have been led to believe for years. Some of them true, others just a myth.
Just check it out.
Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek.
I should have guessed that. I should have guessed that.
Steph hit 105 consecutive three-point shots.
Is that a double rim?
That
rim is thick as fuck, bro.
Not even touching the rim. But Steph is the greatest shooter in the world, so you would think a feat like this should be in the realm of possibility for him. And technically, it is. If we assume Steph shoots about 95% from three in an empty gym during practice with no defense, the chances of him making 105 threes in a row is less than 0.5%.
Damn.
Possible, but there might be something else going on here. After this clip surfaced, many fans began speculating the hot hand theory, an old myth that a player who makes a sequence of shots has a greater chance of continued success in the subsequent attempts. And NBA fans will be the first to tell you that the hot hand is a very real thing. I
do believe it's a real thing, bro. Because when I used to play basketball and I get like 2-3 shots, bro, after that it's GG's, bro. I just keep making them, bro. That's facts. That's facts.
Research says otherwise.
Bro, what research gonna do about it, bro? Come on, man.
And found that there was no
them researchers don't play basketball, baby. Come on, bro.
Greater success on the next shot. This research was groundbreaking at the time and called the idea
I don't know about this, bro.
A fallacy, a myth.
I low-key disagree with this.
Further research was done on this topic. A lot of research. And what they found was that the hot hand does in fact exist, Contrary to
Thank
the
you,
research
bro.
done in 1985, with the advent of modern
Like,
technology,
if I experience it, bro, many times too. I ain't gonna lie. I used to, bro. I ain't gonna lie, guys. Chat. I'm not even gonna be lying, bro. I was a shooter, bro. I'm not even joking. I literally made a game-winning three-point shot in high school, bro. I remember like it was yesterday. Everybody screaming and shit. Nah, that shit was man. That was the best day of my life, bro. Never gonna forget that.
Getting an 8% boost in shooting percentage.
My aura went up by like 300, bro.
12% increase in shooting percentage after hitting 3 shots in a row, as opposed to missing 3 shots in a row. Despite the variance in the overall effect of the hot hand, the results showed that there is a very clear correlation between making your previous shots and the expected outcome of your next shot. But in 2022, researchers at the University of Pittsburgh took this one step further by not just studying the shooting habits of players at practice in controlled environments, but actually gathering data from live games. After analyzing 170,000 field goal attempts in NBA games from the 2014 and 2015 seasons, pulling from play-by-play logs and player tracking, and comparing expected results against actual outcomes, they found that the hot hand was not only real, it had dramatic effects on the performance of certain players. Specifically, 30 players showed a statistically significant
like they claimed Klay Thompson 50 points game, bro.
These players were
I think it was 60 actually.
more likely to hit the third. After 3 straight makes, the boost grew to 4.4%. And after 4 straight makes, the likelihood of hitting the next shot jumped by nearly 6%. Their data also showed that the hot hand is not a constant around the league, but
bro, I remember I made like 7 in the game, bro. I made 7 3-point shots, I think, in the row. They all counted for 1 actually, because it was like a 3v3 or 5v5 with only 1 points that count. But still, bro, 7 3-point shots in a row, bro, that's insane. And I did that, bro. Not even joking, bro.
In the following attempts,
I was just not recording at this time. It actually happened like 1 year ago.
Klay Thompson set an NBA record by scoring 37.
I mean, it was the only thing about recording when you're playing basketball, bro. You know, that's just unfortunate. I wish I had the video, bro.
Of his free throws, 37 points, 1 quarter, not a single miss. Based off of his shooting splits from that season, the chances of him pulling this off were about 0.002%. So either Klay Thompson was the luckiest man alive on that night, or his hands were on fire.
Yeah, his hand was on fire. Oh, the Canadian dude. Things from Canada.
Jeremy Gohi, one of the highest ranked basketball prospects in the world.
Wait, no, that's not him. Never mind.
Lately, Jeremy's
2028.
some extra buzz for his recent performances and the accelerated progression his game has seen over the last year. But there's one quality in particular that makes Jeremy one of the most unique prospects.
Oh, he's tall as fuck.
The fact that he is 7 feet 6 inches tall.
What, bro? What? Wish?
Half his size. And with each
what is this, bro?
These larger than life prospects are becoming more and more common.
Bro, you know what's crazy? That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like the NBA going backward, bro. It's just going back in the day. Like, people, bro. I feel like in like 5 years, bro, most people in the NBA are gonna be at least 6 foot, at least taller than 6'6" or 6'5". At least taller than that. There's no one gonna be like Curry and those type of players. It's gonna be really hard for those players to be here, bro. They're gonna have to be really special, bro.
And many of these prospects aren't playing a traditional back-to-the-basket big man role.
But I ain't gonna no disrespect to those guys, but I feel like a lot of them gonna be flops though, because I ain't gonna lie, not everybody can be Wemby, bro. Not everyone can be Chet. You know, not everyone can be KD. Not everyone can be Tim Duncan, bro. Not everyone can be like the rookie this year that's gonna be playing in the NBA. Like, I feel like they're expecting too much from the 7 foot tall people, bro. A lot of them gonna flop. I can't really say it, bro.
Running in transition and using skills that you would usually associate with.
They might sign me. They should sign me a contract, bro. I might do a better job.
Some fans to believe that at this rate, the NBA will one day be exclusively full of mega giants at every position in possession of skills they have no business having. But this idea that the NBA is heading towards being a league full of Victor Wembanyama's is a myth, at least for the foreseeable future. Finding players over 7 feet, let alone 7'6", with the tools to become serviceable NBA players is as rare today.
Not everyone can be a Porzingis and Embiid too.
Who can stay in the league at all is a difficult task. In 1990, 10.2% of all players in the league were at least 7 feet tall, and up until about 2010, they remained about 10% of the league. But this number slowly began to fall. Each season, pure size playing less of a factor in the league.
That was going back up a little bit.
Began to shrink, eventually ending up where it is today, where 7-footers make up just 6.5% of the NBA. Nearly half of where it was 35 years ago, with every inch above 7 feet exceedingly more rare. The league featuring just 1 to 6 players 7'3" or taller.
You might go back to 10% in the future though.
3.5 decades,
that's possible.
A rate that has not increased in recent years. Now, looking into the future, there is currently only 3 players taller than 7 feet on the 2026 NBA mock draft board. 2027 also features just 1 player over 7 feet tall projected to be drafted. And if finding the oversized talent wasn't hard enough, developing it is almost impossible. Throughout the last 10 drafts, 37 players who are 7 feet or taller were drafted. Of those 37 players, 25 of them are still in the league. And of those 25, only 4 of them have a game that is even somewhat utilized on the perimeter. But this list includes...
Yo, chill. See, now Chet gotta be Ender, bro. Come on, bro, chill. No Chet? You're not gonna remove... Come on, how are you gonna remove Chet? Bro, have you seen him playing, bro? Come on, bro. Chet needs to be on the...
And of those 25, only 4 of them.
That's disrespectful to not put Chet in there, bro. Nah, that's crazy.
That is even somewhat utilized on the perimeter.
Nah, Chet needs to be in there too.
Every 7-foot draftee in the entire league. If we exclude players under 7'2", then a decade worth of supersized big man talent gets reduced to just 4 players. Now, at the moment, there are 339 players who are currently listed as NBA prospects through 2027. These are players who are either being scouted by teams across the league or have NBA potential, according to analysts. Of these 339 players around the world,
like 20 of them?
6 of them are at least 7'2".
Oh, shit.
6, 1 of them is projected to be drafted. Regardless of what you see online, players with this size, let alone guard skills, are still extremely rare, and there are virtually none of them currently in the NBA prospect pipeline.
Damn.
So, no, the NBA will not be a league full of Wembys anytime soon.
Sheesh.
The whole entire point of
thinking it works.
To win. That is the ultimate goal of every player, every team,
for the number
anyone
one
who's
draft.
ever competed in a sport. And yet, in the NBA, teams are incentivized to lose. Well, not all of them, just the bad ones. Since the inception of the NBA draft lottery in 1985, tanking has been a common strategy to land top draft picks and potentially climb your way out of NBA irrelevance. If you're having a bad season, might as well make it a little bit worse to better your odds at getting a top pick in the draft. But the validity of tanking and if it actually works long term is still a topic of debate. Does blowing up an entire season or two really increase the chances of a team winning more games and contending for a title in the future? Well,
what the fuck just happened, bro?
Be a question, because this myth is true. Tanking for top draft picks is not only extremely effective, it is the fastest way out of the pits of NBA standings. Between 1966 and 1984, the team with the worst record in the league had a 50% chance of landing with the top pick. A coin toss.
Now we got lower in it.
A literal coin toss between them and the team with the second worst record. But teams took advantage of this, so over the years those odds have decreased drastically to where they are today, where the 3 teams with the worst records in the league each have a 14% chance of getting the first overall pick.
Holy
1
shit.
in 7 odds. Odds that are so slim that it shouldn't be worth throwing a whole season away for. And yet, the worst teams in the league continue to take those odds year after year. Because it works. From 2000 to 2020, the teams that landed with the #1 overall pick in the draft averaged just 34.8 wins per season in the 3 seasons leading up to their tanking season. Then, of course, most of them tanked for that #1 pick, averaging just 25 wins in those tanking seasons. But then they bounced back, averaging nearly 41 wins in the 5 seasons following their #1 pick, a nearly 15% increase in wins from before winning the
And so, how are you gonna explain the Hornets then? Because I ain't gonna lie, I think I haven't seen them changing or get better since Kemba Walker came to the NBA, bro.
But this
And
boosted
at least
success
a
doesn't
decade
just apply
already.
to teams who won the draft lottery, because here are the average records for teams who landed with the second and third
Because Pistons, they good. They making the playoff now. They chilling. But Hornets, though.
pick in the draft. Teams who also saw a notable boost in wins after landing a top pick. In fact, on average, teams won 5 more regular season games per season in the 5 years following a top 3 pick in the draft. Now, where the real difference comes in is the playoffs, where teams who won the #1 overall pick in the draft lottery averaged just 0.6 playoff wins per season leading up to their tanking season. In the 5 years following their first overall pick, they averaged 3 playoff wins per season, 5 times the amount of playoff success they had prior to their pick and prior to tanking. And again, teams that landed with the second and third pick also saw a drastic increase in playoff success in the 5 following seasons. Use any metric to determine the merit of tanking in the NBA, and you'll find that if teams are willing to be horrifically bad for one season, they will more than likely bounce back better than they were before they tanked. Even when teams don't select a player who turns out to be a franchise cornerstone, on most occasions they still end up flipping that player for valuable assets, making a top pick in the draft extremely valuable under almost any circumstance. In fact, tanking has been so effective for so long that the NBA has tried everything in the book to mitigate the advantage it grants teams. And still, even after reformatting the draft lottery 4 times, the overwhelming advantage lies with the team who is willing to be horrifically bad. Now, the catch here is that very rarely, if ever, does tanking lead to a championship. The reason for this being that chronic losing usually happens within dysfunctional organizations, which then pushes these bad organizations to tank, which then leads them to getting top-end talent that never gets developed, utilized properly, or built around because the organization is bad, which
good example of the Hornets.
To more tanking. So if a team's goal is to win a championship, well, they're probably not in a position to tank in the first place. But if they just don't want to be an NBA bottom feeder anymore, then tanking is unfortunately an incredibly viable option.
Fair enough. It's not over, is it? Oh, shit. Well, let's couple up.
Intense competition, big egos, and